Well, hello. Oh boy. I totally forgot to film the cold start of the Corvette. My apologies. I guess this is the first appearance of the Corvette on the channel, and that's for a very good reason. The reason is the Corvette is very, very, very dirty, and I was too embarrassed to show it. But since I'm taking you guys along for my adventures, you know, hey, you get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today is the ugly. So this is not happening so well. Let's see if I can fix this. Now, whatever, it'll work. So, today, going to a friend's son's birthday party. So I'm going to take my son with me. That's going to be fun. He always likes to ride in the Corvette, but I cannot take this Corvette in public looking the way it does. I mean, it is sad, sad, sad. But I think she'll clean up okay, despite the flaws. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to get the dust off the car, and we use the California car duster for that. But you know, the inside is dusty. It's just the poor car. It just doesn't get driven really much at all. Yeah, she's pretty dirty. I'll show you the, you're seeing the before and then we'll get you after. Alright, so I just gave it a once over with the duster. It looks shiny-ish. At least when I take it to the car wash, I'm not going to be, you know, scratching it as terribly with all the dirt. But, you know, it's come to the point of soap and water is going to be necessary. I mean, it always is, let's face it. Funny thing about the Corvette, for taller people, oh, and this is nice, that always hangs down. And then I just put it back into place and then it'll fall down later. But funny thing about the Vette is it's supremely comfortable for tall guys. And there's plenty of leg room and plenty of headroom too. It's just getting in and out kind of is hard. But really a pretty great car, all things considered. There are just some like obvious GM design flaws. As I was talking about yesterday, like with the Chevy Volt, or the Bolt, you know, it's just this era of Chevrolet, and even more modern eras, they just didn't make good interiors. Stuff doesn't last. I mean, a good example, and I hate to sound like I'm always complaining, but I'm trying to keep it real. I don't know if you can even hear me over all the freedom coming out of the tailpipes here. But like it's hard to do this one-handed. But like these buttons here, I think my trip light, or maybe it's the option light, like at night, this no longer lights up. And in order to fix that, you either have to replace the whole panel of buttons, which, you know, is kind of expensive, or you have to take the buttons out, and then you have to unsolder the light bulbs. And they're these like tiny little LEDs, and you have to you know, solder them onto the board. Now I'm sure some of you out there are geniuses and can do that, and I might be able to do that, but man, like, why would you make a consumable item, like, and consumable meaning something that's going to wear out? Why would you make a consumable item something that you can't like easily replace? Not cool. Not cool GM. Not cool Chevrolet. I don't like that. And then there are all kinds of like problems with the dashboard, like it just kind of swells and doesn't line up with stuff. I mean, I still think it's a nice looking interior overall, even though at this point it does look very outdated, but it is very outdated. This car's from 2006. Cars have changed. So I certainly don't hold the car accountable for that. But you know, there are just kind of a lot of things that the GM could have done better in this car. But the one thing that they did really well is the LS2 V8. I mean, it purrs like a kitten. I can neglect it for months on end, and she still wakes right up and has plenty of poke. You know, and that's just a quarter throttle. So that's what you buy this car for. You know, you buy it because it has a V8, rear wheel drive, and you can row the gears. You know, like nature intended. So I still love it for that. I love the sound. I'm in the process of actually like making this car a little quieter because it's just it's too much. I went too far, and I need to dial it back. So I actually bought some Flowmaster mufflers about a year ago, but I didn't like the way they looked. They had single outlets, and I like the dual outlets on each muffler. So, you know, these cars factory come with like quad pipes, or what looks like quad exhaust, even though it's just dual. But you know, you can't just take 4 pipes and make it look like 2. But you can take 2 and make it look like 4. I'm all about that. Especially because it was designed to look like that. So I recently found on, I think it was actually Craigslist, which is not the popular way to buy car stuff now, but I found a guy selling kind of some like factory exhaust tips that he had cut off, and so I'm going to have those mounted up to my Flowmasters that I bought, and I just need to find the right exhaust shop. The guy up in my area here just wants to rip me off, and I'm just not having it. He's gonna want hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to like make like a reducer pipe, because he's gonna have to go from 3 inches to 2.5. And he was like, "Oh, it's a big job." Like, dude, you're a muffler shop. Like, you do this all day. It's not a big job. Granted, I can't do it myself, but you know, I know that there's a shop that can do this for $100, maybe 200 at the most. So I just kind of need to find that shop, and I just haven't had the day where I can just spend dealing with that. But it's coming, and I'm gonna miss the sound of the Billy Bullet exhaust that I have on it. It really sounds mean, and I love it, but it's overbearing. It's obnoxious. Like, on the freeway, it just kills me. So I got to do something about that, tighten that up. Anyway, just got here to AutoZone. I'm gonna get in the zone and buy some washing accessories and then get this thing cleaned up real quick. So check back later. Well, we're all cleaned up now, kind of. I've learned some things today. Okay, I didn't learn anything. It's stuff I already knew, but I'm embarrassed. So, here we go. Even though a Corvette will very comfortably and safely hold a car seat, that car seat should not be left in the car indefinitely, pressing down on the nice leather seat. I think it's going to come back around, but I don't know. It definitely made some indentations. So I'm going to have to like make sure to not have the car seat in for a while. Or at the very least, like, unbuckle it when it's not being used. So that's the first thing I learned. I should probably put some towels down too. That would be a good idea. The other thing I learned is, you know, always trust your instinct when you're at the car wash. You know, find the cheapest car and get behind that one, because that's probably the lane that's going to open the soonest. Thankfully, the guy kind of like waved me in. That was awesome. He's the guy driving the little Ford thingy, you know, whatever that is. It's like the plug-in whatever it is. What's that called? It's the energy something. Oh, the C-Max. Yeah, that guy. C-Max guy. So waiting on the car wash. Really good time to just, you know, catch up on some of your interior stuff. So I just hit my seats with the Gryatt's Garage Leather Care, and I mean, and I just let her soak, and the seats feel a lot better already. And I hit my steering wheel, and I hit my shifter, and my parking brake, you know, all of this stuff that's leather wrapped. And then I just took a microfiber and I just kind of went over all the surfaces that were dusty, and you know, tried to just get it generally a little cleaner in here, and hit it with the vacuum. I was gonna hit it with that ceramic coated you know, spray wax stuff, but I didn't read the directions very carefully. You're supposed to leave the car wet while you apply the stuff, and I dried the car, so that was my bad. You're also supposed to be in the shade, and it should be cool, dry, you know, cool wet paint, and I didn't have any of that going on, so I didn't do it. I'm probably gonna hit it with my Meguiar's Ultimate Quick Wax, but I have like a sinking feeling in my stomach that I left that in the Kia. So that's probably sitting at the shop in Glendale, which is a major bummer. Major bummer. And, you know, and I may run down there and grab a few more things out of the car if I have time, maybe Tuesday morning. But I don't know. Anyway, things are good. Car's looking, you know, not showroom ready, but I would say a million times better. You can see, like, there's actually some nice shine going on with the hood, and you know, she's looking pretty. Even with all her imperfections, it's still a really gorgeous car. So yeah, we'll check in a little bit later. All right, we're back. You say hi?
Hi.
Yeah. What are we driving? Yeah, we're in the Corvette. That's right. So one of the best things that I've enjoyed about having my Corvette is getting to share it with my best buddy here. Do you like the Corvette? What do you like about the Corvette? You like this? What is that? You don't know? Is it fun to ride in the Corvette?
Yeah.
What's fun about it?
When it goes fast.
It goes fast. I mean, of course, we're very safe here. But yes, it goes fast. Is it comfortable? Yeah. And it looks cool. All right.
What's the school called?
I don't know what that school's called.
Maybe take a bill. Ooh, get to get a cheese stick.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get a cheese stick. So yeah, we're just taking a little ride with my buddy, my best co-pilot. And here we go.
Can't open this.
Okay, I'll help you with it. Well, so we got the car all cleaned up. We tended to the leather seats a bit. What else did we do?
I went to Mommy's house.
You went to Mommy's house. Right, that's where we were. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take our little drive, and we'll check back in later. Can you say bye?
Bye.
There you go. Bye. All right, so we had a lovely time, and now we're trying to leave where we were. And this is like the one issue with the Corvette. You can see, you can't really see what's behind you. And because it's from 2006, there's no backup camera. So you kind of just have to guess. Luckily, I didn't hit anything. So that's good. One thing we didn't talk about earlier is gas mileage. And it gets gas mileage. These cars are pretty good if you drive them carefully. That's how I'm driving mine. Oh, I wonder what he's selling. Uh-oh. This is a tough street. Very narrow street. As I was saying, 56 miles to empty, 11.6 average, and this trip, wow, 150 miles on this tank. Now, a lot of that was just kind of idling in the carport because you know, sometimes I'm unable to drive the car just because it doesn't make sense to drive it. So I'll idle it for a little bit just to kind of keep the fluids circulating and keep the battery charged and all of that good stuff. I don't do enough of that, but that is a thing. And I guess I've put about 1,400 miles on this oil, and also gave this an oil change back around Thanksgiving last year. So really should change it again, even though it has plenty of oil life remaining. Also has the heads-up display, which is pretty neat. Lots of goings on with the cars here. Ooh, that's cool. Just driving on the sidewalk. Why not?
Hey, is that a monster truck? The blue one?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'd call it a monster truck, but it's a big truck.
Is it a bar truck?
Not sure. Let's see. Wow, this is so pretty here. What a view. That's awesome. Doesn't look like the phone wants to focus. Come on. There we go. Really pretty. Maybe we can drive directly into the sun. Oh, good. That's better. I also noticed, since I just washed the car, that a bird pooped on it immediately. Like, so there's a little poop right here on the windshield, a little bit right in the middle of the hood. That's great. Like, I don't think it was clean for even an hour. And it's black paint, so that's even better. Anyway, so that's the gas deal. Best I've done out of this car, 26 to 29 miles per gallon on the highway, you know, depending upon how fast you drive. And, you know, that's pretty good for 400 horsepower, I think, at least in 2006. And, you know, and around town, you know, if I do kind of mixed driving, I get between like 18 and 22. Which, again, you know, it's okay. It's okay for what it is.
What happened to this house?
Whoa, well, look at that.
What happened to the house, Eddie?
Like some serious Halloween, right?
Yeah, but I mean, who did them?
Who did that, huh?
But how are we gonna get in the house? Just spider webs.
That's a lot of spider webs, my man. All right, well, I'll check back later. All right, so we're full of gas, 14 gallons. Basically drove like no miles with it. It was great. Really good. But it is what it is, man. So a couple of things about the car, kind of that I haven't talked about, you know, negatives. I know earlier I was talking about making the car a little quieter. The exhaust is just overbearing. It really is. You know, we got it on the freeway, and one thing that always happens to my son, he is done. And you know what? I feel the same way. I just want to go to sleep, because this exhaust just kind of while you're on the freeway, and it just lulls you to sleep. I don't know why, but it really does. And it's like a deep sleep. So I've had times where I'm driving this car home and I'm like you know, just doing everything I can to keep myself awake. Which is why I really have to just make it a priority and get this exhaust switched out, you know, pronto. It's too much for my tastes. And even though I love taking my son in the car, you know, this always happens, you know. Sometimes it'll happen right away. You know, we won't even get out of the neighborhood and he's out. I mean, I'm glad he's having a good nap. But, yeah, I would have joined him. So the other thing that happens, and I got some footage of this that I don't know if I'll throw it in just before this or just after this. I'll probably forget what order, and then I'll put it in the wrong spot, so I'm not going to say. But there's an issue, and I think it's a problem with the charcoal canister. I'm really not sure. It's not something I've been able to solve the whole time I've owned the car. Oh, I forgot to reset my trip stuff. Sorry about all the bleeps and bloops. I'm behind an LA County sheriff, so let's see if he decides to pull me over for, well, any particular reason. And I can think of about 4 that he could. But I'm not doing anything wrong. In any case, so the big thing that's annoying about this car, and I kind of have this problem with my Kia too, but worse with the Corvette, is I really can't ever just like set the pump on the, you know how it has the little thing where you can just walk away from it while it pumps gas. I can't do that with this car. It always clicks off. Mostly, you know, I don't want to say always, but usually it does. So there's like only a certain particular kind of angle, and I kind of have to hold the pump and squeeze on the thing and hold it the whole time, which is a drag, especially if it's like really cold or really hot, or I just don't want to pump gas and I want to sit in my car or whatever. So I always kind of have to keep an eye out for that. I had it happen once where I had kind of a big day and I had a lot of places to go. Back when I first bought the car, and I remember I was down in Manhattan Beach and I stopped to fill up with gas, and there were these dudes that wanted to talk to me about my car, because when you drive a Corvette, you know, it's a conversation piece. Like people want to talk about your Corvette wherever you go, because it's a Corvette, you know, and I get it. I'm that way too. So they kind of distracted me. I wasn't paying attention. I figured the car was just gonna fill itself up, but instead it clicked off. I thought, I didn't even check to see how much it pumped in. I was just in a hurry. I buttoned everything back up, and away I went. And when I got back in the car, I only had like a quarter tank of gas, because it had only pumped like a gallon or 2. And I still had like a lot of driving to do, so I had to make another stop for gas later, because I didn't notice the first time that it had just clicked off. And this is timely. Like, I just watched a video this morning. There's this channel I just discovered. I think it's called Car Care Tech or something like that. The guy's great. He's like a Toyota master diagnostic technician, and he just kind of gives his professional opinion on stuff. I just love his channel. Like, I'm hooked on it already. And he talked about like never topping off your tank and the damage that you can cause to the evaporative canister system, you know, the charcoal canister. You know, there's like the canister, and then there's like a vapor release valve and all this stuff that we don't really think about as consumers. We just think like, oh, I want to make sure I get as much gas as possible. He was saying, don't do it, and if you've been doing it and nothing's happened, you got lucky. So don't do that. But in this car, I kind of don't have a choice. Like, I can't get gas in it without it like clicking off, and then I have to go again, and it clicks off, and it clicks off, and it clicks off. So, you know, not a big deal, but it's just kind of a minor annoyance every time I have to get gas, which is, you know, at this rate, once every 3 months. I mean, I just put no miles on this car, so it's not something I worry about too often. But you know, if this were a daily vehicle, I suppose it would be a bigger issue for me. You know, earlier I was talking about washing the car and just kind of like Corvette ownership in general. I mean, I barely consider myself a Corvette owner at this point. I don't drive the car much. My headlights are all fogged over. You know, I'm a disgrace. I get it. But you know, there are just a few things that, like, when you own one of these, there's like, I call it a Corvette tax, and that is like every shop you go to, unless you're cool with them, they're probably going to want to charge you more for repairs just because it's a Corvette, not because the parts are more expensive, but they just, you know, they're just going to do that. And sometimes the parts are more expensive, but you know, it's a Chevy, man. I mean, it's basically a pickup truck with a sports car body. So, you know, not that big of a deal, in my opinion. But there are some things you have to be aware of, like the balsa wood, like under the, you know, that kind of lines the bottom of the car. You know, and I've whacked that on a good number of things at this point. But yeah, and then the other thing, and this is, you know, this is kind of to be expected with any kind of, I don't want to call it like a high profile car, but let's face it, like when I was a little boy, Corvette was my dream car. I always wanted one. I've been fortunate enough in my life to have two, and you know, I'm hoping someday I'll have another one. But you know, when you drive a Vette, you are driving somebody's dream car, and you are not allowed to mess up their dream car. You know what I mean? So if your car is dirty, their dream car is dirty. And you can't drive it around like that. I mean, without getting some lip from people. And it's happened to me a bunch of times. I mean, there was one time I was just pulling out of my driveway, right, at home. And this dude that was visiting one of my neighbors was like, man, you really got to wax that. You know, it's like, I know. Like, I can see how dirty it is. You don't have to tell me. Of course, he was a really scary looking guy, so I was like, oh, yeah. I'm acting like I was sounding all tough. But, you know, that's just a good example. Like, you know, he wants to have a Corvette. He doesn't have one, and how dare I have a dirty one? You know, if it was his car, it wouldn't be that way. So that's just kind of a thing that happens, and you kind of have to be ready for it. So I try to always at least dust the car off before I take it out into public, just because people won't have it. Like, you just cannot have a dirty Corvette. You know, and then the other one, and I really like this, it's like, it doesn't matter which Corvette you drive, right? But somebody's going to say, oh man, did you see the new one? You should get the new one. It's got way more power. Like, again, like, I would love to have the new one. Can I borrow about $80,000? You got that? Because for what I do for a living, that kind of money takes a while to make. I'm happy with my crappy 2006 Corvette, you know, and I really am. I love this car. I'd really like to fix a few little things on it. And on my wish list of things to fix, first thing is going to be headlight lenses. It just has to happen. I don't know if I have time to do it myself, but I don't know if I can afford to pay somebody else to do it. So that may be something I do, and it just takes 2 weeks. And if it has to take 2 weeks, that's okay. I have another car to drive, so I'm good. The other thing, I really want to get the rear hatch so that I can open it with the remote again. I feel like it was a rat that chewed a wire, and I think that's what happened. I really do, because it worked one day and then one day it didn't. So I think that's the deal, and I'd like to. I may just take that to my dude George, even though he's a Toyota shop. I feel like somebody there can figure that out for me. And then the third would have to be, I want to do shocks. the car just needs shocks at this point. It's been 91,000 miles. It's been, 15 years. Car is just a little tired, in terms of suspension. So it would really be great to freshen that up, tighten that up a little bit. I don't really want to do anything crazy. I just want to freshen it up. So maybe some Bilstein or KYB, something like that. Nothing too crazy. I figure I can do it myself for probably $500 or $600, and it doesn't look that hard. It looks like just like a couple of bolts, and I have air tools and everything, so I should be able to handle that. It's just kind of a matter of like time and energy right now, and I just don't have a lot of either, especially the energy. There's just too much going on, especially with a baby at home. So I don't know. Maybe in the spring I'll do suspension, and it sounds fun. I really want to, but again, this car has just been kind of low on my priorities list with everything else happening, and especially like when I wasn't working, I had time to fix it, but had no money to buy parts. So, and that's something you'll probably hear me say on the channel a lot. You can have time or you can have money, but very seldom will you have both at the same time. So I had time. I just, I couldn't justify a couple $100 in headlight lenses. So anyway, check back later. All right, my friends, we've made it home. Everything's cool. Looks like my drive home, 10 miles per gallon. What are you gonna do? At 5.9 miles. Maybe I'll reset that. But I was reminded, like, why, oh good, 9.9. I was reminded why my fuel economy is so low. And that's because pretty much I just drive this car in my neighborhood. So it just rarely gets on the highway for a long stretch. So today was good. We did some regular driving and not just 30, 40 miles per hour and then zero. You can see the old heads-up display there, kind of floating in the glass there, which is cool. You can change the modes: street mode, track mode 1, track mode 2, and I think that's where I usually like track mode 2. It's just a little easier to read, and it's a cool feature. And even though it doesn't look like super futuristic now, I still think it's really cool. So yeah, that's about it for today. Really not a whole lot of stuff today, and I apologize if today's video was a little random and rambling, but those of you that have been watching my videos and you've made it this far, we can be friends. I appreciate you guys very much. Shout out to my newest subscriber, Dad, we'll just call him. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. So tomorrow's gonna be kind of some different stuff. I'm hoping maybe I can do a headlight restoration video on the Lexus. I went ahead and I did buy that turtle wax kit like I showed you guys, and so we're gonna see how that works. I'm planning on filming that kind of in the morning hours, and then we're gonna drive the LS400 to fabulous Bakersfield. That's gonna be great. And I don't know, we'll see. I have a lot of cool stuff planned. It's all gonna just depend on like when I can get around to filming it. But for the moment, like I said, I've really enjoyed just bringing you guys along on my adventures each day. And, you know, it just seems like there's always something going on. So, you know, it's just fun. And you know, I just like sharing the day with you. So in any case, hope you're all doing great. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.